Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Group Therapy. It's Kirk Henderson, MavsMoneyball.com. I'm coming to you on Friday afternoon when I probably should be working, but there was a lull and I didn't want to do any more Salesforcing. It is August 19th. The Dallas Mavericks don't play for a while, and we don't have a ton to talk about, but it's been a long time, and I wanted to hang out. I went on vacation. I completely disconnected from the internet, and since then there have been some new things that have happened. As Jacob just noted, we got the schedule. Luka is playing in some friendlies prior to Eurobasket. He also plays tomorrow again. Well, the Slovenians play tomorrow against Croatia. I bet he plays in that. And then next week there are, I think these are qualifying games. The 25th, Team Slovenia plays Estonia. And the 28th, Germany. And then on September 1st, they play Lithuania. So, you got anything you want to talk about? It really could be anything at all. NBA at large, doesn't have to be Maverick-centric. You want to tell me what you've been doing. You want to make a recommendation to the Hangout squad here. Let me know. I don't mind. We'll hang out for about a half hour and see what everybody's doing today. Coming up first is my guy Grayson. What's up? It's been a while. How you doing, Grayson?
Hey, Kirk. So I've been thinking, as you do during the offseason.
That's dangerous.
And I hate to start out the pod like this, but they should consider trading for Westbrook. They really should consider it, I think.
Okay. So
is this the cap?
Is this a
just
boredom?
For the cap.
Just for the cap. Okay.
You know, you clear off all of that money and hold on. I'm sorry. You're cutting out. I think it might be me, though. Hold on.
That's all right. I can hear you. I can hear you all right. Well, while you're figuring it out.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. You sounded good the whole time.
Okay. Sorry. I got it. I just connected to Wi-Fi, so it's sorry.
Yeah. No, that happens.
Anyway, but yeah, I think they should trade for Westbrook if they don't have to give up, any assets to do it, and they can get the Bertans contract and maybe the Hardaway contract off the books, then think they should do it.
I mean, from a pure cap point of view, I understand why you'd say that. But from a competitive point of view, the Mavericks is just not something they're going to do. It's just not. Like, he is as toxic an asset as any team. Like, they would basically get him to cut him. And I don't think you're going to be able to sell Luke on that. Like, he doesn't care about the cap metrics. He just wants to win. I do understand why you would suggest it, because it's – I was on the call-in show with Seth Partnow last night, and their challenge at the moment is it's going to take 18 months for some of these cap things to start to resolve themselves, whether it's the other draft pick that they owe, whether it's one more year into some of these deals, which aren't fantastic. And as a result, it's like we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs, and it makes you want to do crazy things like go trade for Russell Westbrook. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
well,
right, Manny. He did say that.
I did say that, Manny. But no, like my take is like if they can't get anyone else this offseason, and they go to the Lakers and they say, here is, Hardaway and Bertans and like maybe Powell to match the salary. We'll take Westbrook and just cut him. Y'all take the long-term money, but get Russ off. And we just
You wouldn't even want the pick? Because
No,
the pick is
the
where
pick would
things
be
get
great.
dicey.
The pick would be great, but I think they would have better offers on the table if they were going to trade a pick.
See, the Lakers basically are going to have to send a pick in most cases. That's why there's been no deal done, is no one wants him for anything.
Is there like a lot of people in this group chat that are super against like Hardaway, Bertans, and Powell not being on the roster next year if it gets us off long-term money? Like, I just think that's a small sacrifice to make. And they would cut Russ probably. Like Mark Cuban said that Russ was not a true superstar when Russ was actually a superstar.
When Russ was an MVP candidate.
Yeah, like so. I'm not advocating. I don't think Russ I'm not saying Russ should be a ball handler. I'm just saying like take advantage of the Lakers situation and fix your cap sheet. But
I hear you.
Anyway, this offseason is awful, man. This is horrible.
So let me ask you that. Is it awful because it's awful, or is it awful because it's the first long one we've had in a while? I'm okay with the offseason overall. I've made my peace with it because I think what they're doing is they're going to expect Luka to carry an even bigger load, which frankly, okay, fine. Watching him play as they played in Slovenia, they need to surround him with the kind of players that result him playing in different positions, and they can't do that right now. There's no means to. So I do understand if you're very unhappy, but I just, you lose Brunson, that's kind of the big unhappiness marker. But past that, like I don't, McGee annoys me, but the Wood trade I think was interesting. I think it's an interesting idea. I just feel okay. Is that preposterous or or what? What do you think?
No, I think it's been fine. Like I'm not like devastated with this offseason. Losing Brunson sucks, but I think Wood is super interesting. Like and has the potential to actually outscore Brunson just points per game. But I know that that's not the same thing because there is shot creation.
I know, right?
Stuff. But anyway, I'm just saying the combination of this offseason actually being the correct length of an offseason and nothing happening because Kevin Durant and Rudy Gobert destroyed the entire market has made it just a brutal one because nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, though I will say I have enjoyed the friendly ball, like the pro leagues that we've seen. Some of the Drew League stuff is wild. It's not really for me, but it's fun. I've loved watching some of these friendly matchups as teams get ready for Eurobasket. So, I think next summer might be because the Olympics aren't until 2024. So next summer 2023 might be real, just boring. So yeah. I'm trying to at least enjoy this element of it.
Yeah, thank God we've got Eurobasket and 2K. Otherwise, basketball would not be on my mind right now.
See, yeah, and honestly, it hasn't been for me. I've watched a lot of television. I inadvertently had kind of like a Native American evening the other night when I watched 2 or 3 episodes of Reservation Dogs and then switched to Prey when my wife went to bed. Prey was one of the best uses of 90 minutes I've had in a long time. The movie was so cool. But yeah, I mean, basketball will be back soon because I want to say these guys report to training camp last week in September, maybe. So we've got about 4 or 5-ish weeks.
Yeah, we're getting there. And you know what? The NFL is almost here. Like, we're really on the precipice of like having actual sports again. I've tried to watch some Ranger games this offseason, man, and they're just paint drying on a wall right now.
That's right, man. That's right.
Anyway, I appreciate you having me up, Kirk. The last thing I'll say is it's not what's going on in Utah. It's what's going on in Dallas.
Sure. Just manifest. I appreciate it, Grayson. Talk soon.
Appreciate it.
All right. Coming up next, we have Mr. Volo. It's been a long time. What's happening?
It's going well, Kirk. How about yourself? It's Friday.
It is Friday. You're come a little close to that mic. Sounds like you're on a speaker.
You know what? I think it's
There we go.
Okay. I've tried 12 different headsets and they all never work. But anyway, I'm just enjoying some EuroLeague. Watching Dragic and Luka play is nice. It's unfortunate we can't play Dragic more than once a week with Frank.
Sure.
Josh Green, but that's beside the point. No, I feel like me and you have switched positions in terms of Mavs future. I feel like I've gotten more cynical and you've gotten more open-minded, but I don't know. I think this offseason went as bad as it could have possibly went. And so for me, I just don't know how we're going to get by with two.
So I went on a show last night. My friend Seth Partnow, smart guy, probably one of the smartest guys in professional basketball, for being honest, and he tends to know it, which is pretty obnoxious. But he's my friend, so what are you going to do? And right now, the Mavericks plan, if we could boil it down, is wait for something to happen, with an unforeseen thing in the market, more or less, because without picks, without cap space, that's kind of the option. Now, I don't blame that on anyone in particular past a year, like series of decisions, most of them justifiable, that resulted in where Dallas is in terms of cap sheet and in terms of draft pick. And I think I'm probably just as cynical as you're describing, but I'm trying not to let that be my whole personality when I do this sort of thing, because when you talk as often as I do, I want to, when Cuban complains about social media, Mavs, Twitter, et cetera, I always try to hear him for what he's saying, even if I think he might be complaining too much, because there is an element to it. Because if you're watching a sport, covering a sport, doing whatever, thinking about it, it should be a little bit of fun. Otherwise, otherwise we probably need to do something else. And so, that's more a me problem. You guys that come in here, I also really think there's something about how, who and how you talk about it. Because when you're in front of a screen and you're typing, everything seems to get progressively angrier. But when you're talking with your friends, usually it's there's things that are funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think you made very good points. I think there was, before free agency started, there was, some optimism in terms of what they could do. And you could have looked at a number of different things they could have done. But when you get out of free agency and your best signing is JaVale McGee, who's, again, mind you, 34 years old and extremely reliant on athleticism, I think what bothers me is that I feel like a large part of the community, especially mass media members, have kind of pushed this JaVale signing as he's a 15 to 20 minute per game player, when in reality he's a 10 to 15 minute per game player in the regular season, and he's at most a 10-minute per game player in the postseason. If you look at JaVale's game log from the playoffs over the past couple of years,
right,
he'll start off a series playing maybe 10 to 15 minutes, end the series for minutes. I think his last 4 games against the Mavericks were basically 0 minutes, 9 minutes. The last game was 16 minutes, but they were being blown out by 40 points. So when you come out of free agency and you could have paid a Daniel House for similar money, actually a bit less money, you could have paid Otto Porter Jr. with the same money. And you look at alternative moves that could have happened to where you could have ended up in this realistic options, not out of this world unrealistic options. I think that's what bothers them. And then the narrative, I think, of kind of a Cuban push narrative that Jalen Brunson couldn't be reached, and they couldn't have done anything to retain him. It's pretty absurd. I think it's been a narrative that's been pushed.
Yeah, and it's absurd because he set everything up for failure by noting that they could pay him the most and then not offering it. And there's elements of the narrative that are very frustrating because then there's the counter one that you're talking about. It's like, oh, well, the Mavericks never really had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
If the Mavericks never really had a chance, and I have come around to that as a point of view, then it never should have been said that they could pay him the most. That was an unforced error, and that is just one of the hallmarks of when Mark Cuban does things. Like it's open negotiations for no reason. Like you don't need to do that. So
yeah, exactly. I just think, and there's the idea that he never gave them a shot because he never took a face-to-face meeting or something like that. But that's not how business works in the NBA, right? The only time players take face-to-face meetings is when they already know what the offer is, and they're just getting the organizational pitch, i.e., Dwight Howard, Darren.
Sure.
We played that game, right? So they could have called his agent, offered, and we knew the Knicks offer, a week in advance before free agency started. They could have called him anytime, offered him the 5 for 125. And if you want to make the argument that's just too much money, that's fine. You can make that argument. I'll disagree, but it's fine. But it's just this false narrative that's being pushed that they never got a chance. What stopped him from calling his agent? Nothing. So
yeah,
I guess I used to be a really pro-Cuban guy. I used to think he just wanted the best for the team. But I think I've kind of turned on him as an owner. I think he's far closer to a Sarver than he is a Joe Lacob or from the Clippers.
I don't know. Cuban's such a touchy point for me because sometimes I feel like I've been like gaslit by people who really love him because I wrote the article that basically like the 1,200 words just laying out here are the things that he has done that I think are openly detrimental to team building, free agency, et cetera. And people were just, I lose, and I'm just like, I'm just using his own words here, guys. Like that, and everybody gets very defensive and upset who really, really likes him. I will say, I do think, having talked with him, I do think he does have the best interest. He does want what's best. The problem is, I suppose, if you're in charge and you've made your money and you've made your way in life by always being involved, taking a step back and letting people who might be better than you do something is really difficult. And it's something that I have tried to come to terms with because I think, at one point or another, you hire Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd to try something new. And I still don't think they've been, because of the lack of assets, I don't think they've been allowed to try anything new. For some reason, like Nico Harrison gets credit for the Reggie Bullock signing, that the timing of that doesn't really make sense. If free agency is done in advance, then the Bullock thing was already I just don't know how much wiggle room these guys have had to operate. And so I want to give them 1.5, 2 years to sort of see where things go from here to give them an opportunity to build their own thing. I mean, you already move on from KP. That's a big positive step, or if not positive at the, viewed as positive at the time, it certainly ended up as incredibly positive when you continue to win 1 billion games. So I don't know. I suppose that's why I just, the floor with Luka is high. And so it's like when you view it from the Luka lens, everything from there tends to sort of flow downhill where you do the same thing we did with Dirk from like 2003 to 2008, 2009, where it's like, well, we've got Dirk. Everything's going to be okay. And it's kind of crappy because it's like maybe that's not fair to put that much stuff on one person. But I do think that there's an element of that one person being able to hold up the Mavericks world to a degree. Well, you got anything else for us?
Those are all good. Yeah, no, I'll hop out. But yeah, I guess my worry is that, from that 2008 to 2011 phase where, kind of the world came crashing down until we somehow won the championship in 2011. Like that was, that time period is really,
and those teams were still real good. Here, this is the part that the Warriors have broke. And it really has managed to throw some, you have the Lakers dynasties of the 2000, things like that. More often than not, winning the championship is really dang hard. And you need a certain confluence of events to come together at the right way, the right time. What the Mavericks just did to get to the Western Conference Finals is a great example of that. I've been talking expectations with people, and you know, in Tim Cato's thing, a lot of people put like getting to the Western Conference Finals, anything less than that, it wouldn't be a successful season. In Tim Cato's poll, I'm like, that's insane. Finishing as a top 4 team in the league is the statistically unlikely outcome, even if you're the number 1 team. So I don't know. It's different. It's just, you know, I keep coming back to how we will how we think about these things and try to have a little bit of perspective. And I think you're taking a good one though.
Yeah, no, I think I'm optimistic because of Luka. The other stuff, they'll fall into place. We have a couple years to figure it out, so we'll hope for the best. All right, thanks.
Sure thing, man. Talk soon. All right, coming up next, we have my Twitter friend Snacks for Tweets, but he does a different handle on here. How do we invite him up on stage? I forgot how to use my app for a moment. What's up, my guy?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. You sound great.
Great, just making sure.
No, my man Davis there, he has it's been like 2 years of him not being able to have his mic work, and so I've decided that we're just going to live with it, and I'll adjust his audio in post-production. Or I won't, and people will yell at me.
How you feeling, man?
I'm okay. Nice little Friday here.
Yeah, right? It's like not 100 degrees. I'm not sweating my ass off. It's great, right?
It's important.
It is. One quick thing before I get started. If I hear Jalen Brunson's name one more time after I said it, I just might go like chop down a tree or something.
Who? I don't know any Jalen Brunsons.
Me either. 2-strand twist. I don't know the guy anymore. But listen, man, like I'm still seeing people freaking out on the timeline. I don't know why. Like we're a good chunk of time removed from all this going on, and like the season starts in what, a month and a half maybe. August is pretty much over.
Almost 2 months, yeah.
Yeah, almost 2 months. Like it's crazy. Like when are people actually gonna realize that, hey, it's not that bad? And second of all, most of these tweets that I'm seeing are from people that weren't even sold on JB being the fit in the first place. So what do you have to say to that?
It's difficult because you process fan expectations in like, particularly when you get hurt as a fan, it really is similar to grieving, where you like walk through and there's all these justifications, and I get it because I was an early, what do we think about Brunson? Are we sure guy? And people murdered me for it. And then I came around on Brunson and I've decided he needs to be with the team. And then there's, you know, factions. You can't pay him that much. So it's like a real fun role reversal. And I will say that if you're still frustrated by it, I get it. But it is an instance to where I do think that in the long term, so we're talking 3-4 years, had Jalen Brunson resigned, Jalen Brunson would have been the first out the door in a trade to improve the team. And that makes things really difficult for a guy like him because I think he knew that. I mean, just because the fit worked doesn't mean the fit wasn't, or meant the fit was perfect, because the Warriors essentially showed how one-dimensional the Mavericks were. You there? Still muted.
No, I agree.
That's all right.
The space to the point to where they literally could not get anything at the rim. It just showed, hey, we need to fix this. And not even the fact that the Warriors they've been known for doing this for years. It's the fact that we saw it game in and game out. And it just looked like it wasn't working like it did in the previous run. Of course, I mean, Phoenix had their issues, but Phoenix is not Golden State, obviously. I got one more question because I just want this to be public knowledge because we talked about this before. And I easily think this is still a 50-plus win team. And what do you say to the people for that?
I think that a lot, like it's 50-plus, barring Luka doesn't suffer any like ankle sprain. And I think that the way he plays, he's like second or third in the league in terms of drives per game, and he's probably the biggest person to do that. He's very Rob Gronkowski is where my head is. And I think that while he very well could play 75 games and be an MVP candidate, it's a little bit scary is not the right word, but like that's just how things go sideways is if he gets hurt. And there's not, when he got hurt last season, what was it? COVID, ankle, fatness, like all sorts of things all at once in December. And Brunson kind of kept him steady. I don't trust Dinwiddie in terms of steadiness. So that's where I think the team has a lot more volatility, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Before I get out of here, man, I have one quick question also. As far as the 50-win things, I really think that happens as long as Luka doesn't come into camp looking like me, and I weigh 250 pounds. You agree, right?
He looks good right now.
I mean, yeah, but, we got some time left. We'll see.
Never put it past a man who could party himself out of shape. I understand.
I speak from experience, man.
No. Well, thanks for joining.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Coming up next, my guy Harold. What's happening?
Hey, Kirk. How you doing?
I'm okay. Are you getting excited for Eurobasket?
Yeah, I sure am. Can't wait for it to get started. But I really wanted to make the case here today for optimism. And as you know, I'm a lot more bullish than a lot of other folks about the Mavericks season. But I wanted to make the case for why I think the Mavericks are definitely a better team than last year. And I wanted to start off with, the main moves that we've made this offseason. So we lost Jalen Brunson, and we've gotten JaVale McGee. Let's just stop there. Let's not talk about Christian Wood just yet.
Sure.
So Jalen Brunson, let's talk about our defense, because basketball is defense and offense, team defense and team offense, right? So last year, after January 1st, I believe, I'm not sure of the numbers, but I believe we were like the third-ranked defense in the NBA, okay? And before January 1st, I think we were like 20th or something like that. But overall, it turned out that we were about 8th, I think, at the end of the year, somewhere around there. Okay, so the way I see it, and I think this makes perfect sense, it took a while for Jason Kidd to get the guys to buy in, but now that they've bought in, the third-ranked defense is who we are. That is who we are as the Mavericks. And when you have the third-ranked defense in the NBA, you're going to be a very good team, okay, unless your offense sucks. And a Luka Doncic-led offense, I'm going to tell you right now, is not going to suck. But let's just stick with the defense for now. So Jalen Brunson, he wasn't a very good defender. We could say he was average to perhaps below average.
I think he did well for his size, but he's still 6'1" at the end of the day.
Right. And we've basically replaced him now with Spencer Dinwiddie. And Spencer Dinwiddie was not even on the team before February. We already started to be a good defense and a good team before Spencer Dinwiddie got there, starting in January till about mid-February. Okay? So Jalen Brunson being gone, and now you're adding JaVale McGee, who's basically replacing Dwight Powell, who usually sucks at defense, but he's played a lot better since we stopped playing drop coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an escort service to the rim, and he was actually able to use his frenetic energy.
Yeah, but undoubtedly JaVale McGee is a better defender than him. There's no doubt of that. So we've replaced Brunson with Dinwiddie, and JaVale McGee has replaced Dwight Powell. So I'm gonna tell you, I don't see how we're going to be worse than the 5th-ranked defense in the NBA next year. I mean, right there. That's a done case. So now we're talking about offense. And what I'm saying is that what we've essentially done with these offseason moves is we've taken Dwight Powell and we've turned him into the second-best three-point shooting center in the entire NBA. How did we do that? Because we got Christian Wood. Christian Wood is Dwight Powell, but he can shoot the three at 39%, which is the second best in the entire NBA for a center behind Karl Anthony Towns. All right? And what we just did is we turned Dwight Powell into the best, tied with Dorian Finney-Smith, into the best three-point shooting player on the entire Mavericks. That's what we just did by getting Christian Wood, because that's who Christian Wood is. He's a guy who's a great role man, who can shoot, apparently, is not known for defense, but it sounds like he can definitely switch very well, but he can't play down low, a lot like Dwight Powell. So,
that's your first point, your second point are sort of or where the reconciliation of how Jason Kidd and what sort of rope he gives everyone are going to sort of be interesting to watch, because I think that you're 100% right about the team having a defense-first identity. But then what is it? And I've talked to a number of Rockets people and Detroit people about this. What has been unable to be decent at defense? So how do you fit him? What sort of role do you play him in to where you can either minimize his weaknesses or show him how to maximize what he is good at to be a positive contributor on defense? Because I sort of assume in a lot of circumstances that most lineups are going to have Luka as like the worst defensive player. And that, at least for the top 6 to 7 guys. I don't know. Okay, keep going though. I interrupted.
No, it's fine. Please interrupt, because I'm going to run out of things to say eventually. But no, the way I see it too, though, is that, and you were saying how is Jason Kidd going to use these guys, is that this provides us a lot of flexibility. So against teams that have a crappy center, and there are some people out there, that when Dwight Powell was in there, it didn't really hurt us too bad, and he could play against those teams. Christian Wood can play in the same Dwight Powell role as at center, and it won't hurt us too bad, similar to how it was with Dwight Powell. So that should be fine. When we're playing against teams with a great center, okay, who Christian Wood...
About 5 of them. There's only about 5 teams in the league that you're really concerned about there.
And then that's where JaVale McGee will come in handy, and he'll play a little bit more then. And I think it'd be good for us to have a second big man playing at the same time. It could be Kleber, but then Wood could come in as well. I'm talking about playing power forward. So it gives us a lot of flexibility. And for teams that have kind of like a center that's somewhere in the middle, and I'm talking about maybe like Ayton, I thought Maxey did a serviceable job against Ayton when he played center, and then they had at power forward, they just played small ball after that. But you can also play Christian Wood at power forward in those cases against teams like that, and have Maxey play a little bit more at center. And in the playoffs, it'll come more in handy. You don't want to overplay Maxey. But this just gives us a lot of flexibility. I don't see how we're going to be worse than, I'm going to tell you, like the 10th ranked offense in the NBA and the 5th ranked defense in the NBA. So that usually averages out to somewhere around like the 7th or 8th best team in the NBA. And that, to me, that's our floor, because I don't see the defense getting worse, and I don't see a Luka-led offense, unless he's hurt, like you said, getting below like 11th or anything like that.
The schedule is sort of the thing. So from a big picture case, I can understand where you're coming from. The schedule, now that we have it out there, is where things get real interesting. November is a murderer's row. They play 17 times in 31 days, I think, against some really good competition. And I've been kind of crowing for a while that they need to get off to a legitimately good start where they look good. They got off to a pretty good start last year, and then injuries and COVID happened, even though their win expectation was actually below 500, because and people all remember who've been in these live hangouts. The Mavericks got their ass beat on national television 4 or 5 times in the first 20, 25 games, because they lost the Hawks by 30. It was they're just and so it really threw off the way a lot of their data looked. And we didn't really know this team was for real until mid-January. And then they traded Porzingis, and then we kind of had to figure it all out again. So it's on paper, I'm hoping for a more consistent approach, because yes, they won 52 games last year. They did that on the strength of 35 wins in the new year, which is hilarious. So if you're playing, they were 17 and 18, I think, at the break. They need to be, for me, a successful breakdown of the season comes with being above 500 the whole time. No more of this getting falling under and looking terrible. Just playing consistent, better basketball the whole time. But also, I think, and now that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, I want to see them. The Mavericks played their best basketball at the right time. That was something I think that Jason Kidd kind of doesn't get enough credit for, and the coaching staff at all, because they really came together well down the stretch, which can't be said of some of the teams that the Mavericks ended up beating, like the Jazz and certainly of Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, and I also, that was another point I was going to make is, I mean, look at how good our defense was. I mean, especially in the playoffs. And I know you recall when we played Utah, there was this one of the games where they only had like 30 something points at halftime. And then of course there was the famous 27 points at halftime for Phoenix. I mean, that's real. This happened, we weren't doing this against bad teams. We were doing this against the best teams, playoff teams. So, we're for real on defense. I am a little bit worried about the beginning of the year as well, because I think based on the types of things that Jason Kidd said and what I saw last year, if you recall last year, he said something about, I want to see it, I want to let it cook for a little bit, And last year he didn't play Reggie Bullock until like the second half of the year, because Tim Hardaway got hurt. But I had mentioned one other time when I called in, that it seems like he wants to play the people that know his system for sure, or are familiar with the Mavericks from the previous year. And Bullock was a new player, so he didn't want to play him right away. McGee is familiar with the system, so he is playing him right away. Wood is not, so he isn't playing right away. So I do think that it may happen at the beginning of the year. He's going to, quote unquote, try some things. Hopefully it's not posting up Dorian Finney-Smith again, for the second year in a row.
That was amazing. Two post-ups to start the year, and it's like he had like 3 in all of the previous season.
Yeah, but, that's the sort of thing. If we can get started in the year playing the same type of ball that we played at the end of last year and not be trying to change anything, just kind of gradually incorporate Christian Wood, I think we're going to be all right. But I am a little concerned about the beginning of the year. But
I think we'll be all right. Starting sooner rather than later. Like, just because the dude's in the last year of his contract, he's mercurial. I think let's call him mercurial, because I don't want to insult him. But he's definitely been a difficult guy to deal with over the years. And I think by bringing him, you trade for him and then bring him off the bench in the long run, that's the sort of thing that bites you in the ass if you want to have any hope of re-signing him. That's really a down-the-line thing. It's just something I think something – I don't want to shoot my mouth off too much. I would like to see him get as much – if he works, I would like to see him get as much usage as possible, because he's sort of the high-level X factor that could determine whether we're talking about 48 wins or 56 wins. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, again, I'll just leave you with this. You just turned Dwight Powell into the second best three-point shooting center in the NBA by getting Christian Wood. So
love, and when less Dwight Powell is good for all of us, as much as he sometimes warms our hearts. Thanks so much for coming up.
All right, thank you, Kirk. Take care.
All right. Let's go to Chris. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good. Kirk, how you doing?
I am all right. I'm recovering from vacation. It has been 6 days, and I'm still seasick.
Yeah, yeah. I went on vacation last week myself. So, yeah, this summer has just been, kind of dragging by. Just the lack of Mavs news, and just, I guess, the whole Kevin Durant holding up the whole league, I guess, with this whole drama. This has kind of been the most boring offseason ever, really. After Christian Wood, I mean, is there anything else on the horizon? I guess they still have a roster spot open.
They do. Can you hit the mute button? I'm getting some feedback. Thanks, man. So they do still have that roster spot open. I do think that they are waiting to see if there can be any peripheral moves related to whatever happens or doesn't happen with KD and that sort of thing. It's kind of been the deal the whole summer. They did sign 2 guys. I think do they have a second 2-way open? They brought in a couple of guys for camp deals that we've seen so far. It might be 3 people now. None of them have jumped off.
Kind of glance at the roster. Was it Tyler Dorsey? I don't know who he is at all. He's on there, I guess. But yeah, I'm intrigued about Jaden Hardy. I know he didn't have a good summer league and all, but really we fixed one of our problems. Obviously, we talked about it. Getting JaVale McGee and Christian Wood, because that was the problem in the Western Conference Finals. We couldn't get rebounds. I mean, so I'm happy that we got taller, and hopefully Tim Hardaway Jr. can come back, and Because I remember last year, it was just the beginning of the season. He just played horrible, just shooting from the 3-point line. So I really don't have much to say because I was kind of thrown off by this green room. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything coming on the horizon. I guess why they have the open roster spot. Is there they're just waiting for a trade or something? Or
I don't think they were in love with any of their options. And I think that results in just wanting to keep that spot open so that they could maybe be a player to the fallout because people are expecting the logjam to break eventually in Utah, because Utah's sitting on pieces. Like Mitchell's either going to make his way to New York or Miami or somewhere. And when that happens, there might be sort of a fire sale for the peripheral pieces. Even like Mike Conley at this point might be exciting, even though we cooked him alive. But that's just sort of the nature of what's happening at the moment. It's just a lot of wait and see and a lot of speculation and a lot of projection.
And that's fine. You know what? I'm not even worried about it because I know how well Luka's going to come in. I think he'll probably be the most in shape person coming into the season with how he's still young. He's Luka and he's playing all summer. He might take maybe a couple weeks off, but he's not going to go into this season like he did last year, coming in overweight. I mean, from the pictures I've seen and some clips I've seen with him playing in Slovenia, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. As long as you've got Luka, you've got a chance. We've gotten bigger, so I feel like it's kind of funny still just thinking about the playoffs that we're kind of responsible for blowing up Utah. And, we embarrassed the Suns after they were on a 9-game winning streak against us before the playoffs, so it was kind of a fun ride. Golden State was just that good. It just kind of stopped us in our tracks there. But, I'm excited about the season. I feel like it's this summer's kind of dragging by, though. Looking forward to going. So I'm going to the first home game of the season.
Outstanding.
They play the Grizzlies on a Saturday night. So looking forward to that. I don't really have much else to say about kind of stumped here, but
no, you're
anyway,
good.
Go Mavs.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Yes,
so I'm looking at the schedule right now, and if Slovenia does well in Eurobasket runs between September 2nd and it was originally scheduled between September 2nd, September 19th of 2021, and it's got bumped back a year to 2022, and it runs from September 1st to September 18th. I think it's reasonable to assume that Slovenia will make it out of the qualification round, okay? And if that's the case, they're going to be playing – I don't want to say anything that's not true, but they're going to be playing basketball for a while, and then training camp starts. So there's at most a 10 to 12-day period where Luka is not going to be with the Mavericks. And so I'm feeling pretty bullish about this right now. Oh, hey, Matej can maybe tell us what's going on. Hey, Matej, what's up? Are you there? Give him a second to make sure his mic's working. Maybe not. Might have to punch in and invite you back up. Let's try it again. All right, here. Okay, where did he go? I love when the there he is. Invite to speak. Maybe he can tell, because I'm following Eurobasket, but I am not I have no idea what I watched the game that was because I have a ridiculous TV service. I watched it on Sport Club 1, and got to hear the announcers, and so I have no idea what they're saying, but it was fantastic to watch. Watch Luka play. The last 10 minutes of the game were really entertaining. To answer Alan's questions, how many national TV games do the Mavericks get? When you remove the NBA TV games, I don't really count those as national games because not everybody has NBA TV. They play 21 times. 21 times is 7th overall. I think it's a pretty nice number, pretty solid for when you look at who's ahead of them. You got the Lakers, the Warriors. And it's also important to remember that once football season is over, the NBA has a lot of power with flex scheduling, so that could go up. I will say, let's see, Sean asks if anyone's getting Bally Sports Plus. Look, guys, if you're in the Dallas area, I think you should get this. I really do. $20 a month is for all Dallas, it's all the sports, so much sports. And as I've gotten older, one thing I tend to tell people is, if you're using something every day, it's worth paying money for it. Don't skimp out on things that make you happy. because otherwise you're just going to find yourself being irritated. If anyone else has any questions, we can come up on stage. Otherwise, I am going to head back and try to finish up some work here. I think maybe we'll get together, see the Mavericks. The Slovenian Maverick and Luka Doncic plays tomorrow against Croatia, then a couple of games next week, one on the 25th, one on the 28th. I think I said that at the start of the show. We have some weird stuff on Mavs Moneyball. I'm trying to continue to record podcasts. I have one. I'm trying to get through as many Western Conference teams as I can. Don't really care about the East as I'm talking about their team and their offseason. I recorded the show with the Ringers' Tyler Parker. For any of you who are like really on the internet, he did their Take Hunters series a long time ago. He's really funny, and we talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then I'm recording on Monday with a Pelicans guy, Mason Ginsberg, to talk about their offseason. Pelicans are going to be horrifying this year. I'm not looking forward to playing them. Okay, folks, this has been a good time. Everybody be good, and we will talk when we talk. Go Mavs.